I gotta stop reading upside down, it hurts too much. Hi everyone, me again. Don't go, ah! No, I'm just kidding. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for your support. In my earlier video, I talked about painful for me. I'm surprised. I'm very proud of myself for not crying hysterically during it. So we appreciate everything you've done for us as our viewers and our patronage. Thank you, our Patreon. Thank you so much for everything. Feel free to like, subscribe, and all that yada yada yada. I read this book about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. The Gift of Peace by national bestseller. Personal Reflections by the Cardinal, Joseph Cardinal Bernardin. Very good man. He actually wrote in the book with his own handwriting. He liked nice fancy pen. Like I said, when I say good man, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But he wrote the entire introduction in his own. I don't know how we can see it here, but this is all his penmanship. He believed in having superior penmanship. He died very shortly after this was written. Just a little bit of a background. He was born in Columbia, South Carolina in 1928. He was ordained a priest in 1952 and served as an auxiliary bishop of Atlanta in the 60s. I'm going to just skim over. General Secretary of the National Conference of Catholic Bishops in Washington, D.C. in the 60s and early 70s. President of the conference in the 70s. Archbishop of Chicago in the 80s. Became a cardinal in 1983. He was widely respected for his gentleness, spirituality. This is what happens when you read upside down. And his ability to reconcile. He received the Medal of Freedom at the White House 2 months before he died of pancreatic cancer in November of 1996. So I gave that to you very condensed version. To be a cardinal, obviously you have to go through the ranks of priest, bishop, and then you're elected cardinal. So it's a high-ranking position in the church. There are people there who should not be there, but that's not for them. This man faced a lot of crisis in his life. He was at the end of his life, and he knew it, and he wanted to write a book before he was about to cross over. There was 3 events that happened. One of them was a false accusation. Unfortunately, what a lot has happened in the church, especially in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, that was really, and even in the 70s, there was a lot of this, we're going to just call it nonsense, because I can't say words that I want to say now, that happened. He did not like that at all. He made sure he did everything he could to prevent that from getting any worse. This was a false accusation against him by a fellow seminarian. The person who made these claims against him and brought him to court, was dying of HIV. His lawyers wanted to know if this cardinal was going to countersue or sue the other one in return. He said, no, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to go up there and tell the truth. I don't want to sue him in return. I also have an interest in legal studies. I'm in the program right now. Usually when people sue someone, they're countersued for even more money. Just basically to quash it. They don't want to go any further. That's just a very generalization about that. He went up, told the truth. Went in front of the media, told the truth. He was found not guilty. In the courtroom, and the judge even knew he was not guilty, but the person who made the false claim flat out said, I lied under oath, I'm sorry, I was just blah, 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 blah. So right before his sentencing, he decided I should do the right thing. He was then hospitalized shortly after. This man, this cardinal, went to see him in the hospital on his last few days and said mass in the room. And he brought out a chalice for him to have. Not very long, but dark humor. And he said, I don't want it, I'm not worthy of it, I don't even deserve you being here. He said, I forgive you. Usually when people get sued, they want to go back after someone and being publicly humiliated. So, of course, he had questions in his own life, like, why? But I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to try and get through this. I have help. I believe in, that's why I'm a cardinal. I believe in a higher power. He was able to reconcile forgiveness, healing, and then, of course, he passed over shortly afterward. Some time goes by, he's having pain. When he goes to the bathroom, he shakes it off. He's like, I'm getting old. Shakes it off a little bit longer. Then he realizes, I shouldn't do this anymore. He goes and gets checked out. He has pancreatic cancer. They have to do surgery. They do the surgery. He has to go rest for a while. He's doing campaigns. He's doing funding. He's doing everything. Conferences, still in pain. So he has to go back. Cancer came back 10 times worse, whatever. Like I said, it's been a little over a month since I've read this, so I'm a little rusty, excuse me. When he was in the hospital, people flocked to him little children went up to him and said, I like the guy that looks like Jesus. Because he had his robe on. And he would actually counsel people that were dying or ready to, or whatnot, sick. And he actually, one woman was so sick that he went right to her first before he had any treatment. Or I may have got this confused a little bit, but that's the kind of person this man was. He took care of others before himself. You can't pour from an empty cup, as they say, but you also going that extra mile, like this man did. He found comfort in Scripture, communion, whatnot, and he was able to help these people. He was the unofficial hospital chaplain. And then, of course, there's about the priesthood. He was a priest first, a patient second, so I'm going to skip over a little bit more here. And then the last part of this book is realizing he's going to be meeting his maker soon. He won the Medal of, I think it was Freedom here, Medal of Freedom from the White House. Pretty high honor from what I understand. He continued in his ministry as a Cardinal, and he continued to do masses, and he went back and I think he had a renewal mass, and it was after like 50 some odd years or whatnot. And he blessed everybody. He gave the same sermon he gave on the day he was ordained, and I think as a deacon in 1982 or whatever, 1983, excuse me. He gave the same sermon then at this mass, which was his final mass, and then he accepted the fact he was no longer, he couldn't even get out of bed. He would devote just 1 hour a day to prayer, to saying, God, if you can take away some pain from someone else, not me, give it to me. He basically, instead of having a kid go through cancer, give it to me instead. That's not exactly, but that's the point I'm trying to make here. He passed peacefully. I know I give a 5 out of 5 a lot of times. I'm giving this a 6 out of 5. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, but I'm doing that this time. Very good man. He believed in helping people. He was not one who had his nose in the air. So I'm going to leave off with that. I would recommend it, especially if you're enthusiasts of the church and history and whatnot. So as Josh would always say, thank you, and for now, keep reading.